What if I told you that most people today are quietly giving up? They are not bad at what they do because they are not mentally strong. We look at other things, scroll, and feel envious. Then we ask ourselves why we feel stuck, weak, or lost. We look for warmth, but we're tired. We try to avoid pain, but we suffer every day. The truth is tough. It's comfort that's slowly killing us. Sometimes hard work is what gives you real power. But here's the catch. The Stoics knew this a long time ago, before there were cell phones, Facebook, or self-help books. One of the greatest Stoic philosophers and Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just a quote. That's a tool, a way of thinking, and a way to live in chaos without getting scared. There is no easy way to be stoic. It stops you from doing anything. We're going to talk about 8 harsh stoic rules in this video that will push you to grow mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Not motivational filler. Talk the truth and make changes. Each of these laws comes from the raw, stoic truth that was tested in war in ancient Rome and is still painfully true today. I need you to do one thing before we start. If you really want to grow, don't just watch this like any other inspiring video. This isn't background noise. This is your alarm clock. Right now, I like this movie. Let us know what you think as we go through, especially when a point really hits home. Give it to someone who needs it. Also, don't skip any parts. Even one law missed could make it hard for you to see clearly or have courage when it counts. Let's start. First, accept your pain as a friend. We've been taught to avoid pain, but the Stoics taught the not at all. Open your eyes and run toward it. Think about the time when you grew the most, when you were calm, at ease, and everything was going well. Did it happen? Or did it happen when life hit you hard and you had to decide whether to get back up or stay down? Marcus Aurelius was in charge even though he was sick, in war, and betrayed. He didn't try to avoid pain. It was his choice to shape him. Action is sped up by the thing that stops it. What stands the way turns into the way. Alexander the Great. That's not just empty words. That's the law. Every problem gives you a chance to make your will stronger. Through every delay, every rejection, and every lesson in patience, modern life tells us, avoid pain. Stoicism, on the other hand, says, train for it. That cold shower, that test, that hard conversation, that path, that gym session when you're tired. That's where your character is being carved. The Stoics thought that if you choose to be uncomfortable in a controlled way, you get ready for life's chaos. You'll be ready for the storm when it comes. Another Stoic, Seneca, slept on the floor, ate plain food, and wore old clothes. But not because he hated himself. He did these things to train himself. Why? So you won't be shocked when life takes away your comfort. You are ready. And now for the truth. Having pain is not a bad thing. That's your mirror. The most important thing is that it shows you who you're becoming. We put off small pain today so that we can feel bigger pain tomorrow. Things get really crazy if you lean in and walk through that fire with awareness. You no longer fear the pain. That's the start of freedom. In pain should now be seen as a training partner. It may hurt you, but it makes you stronger. Pick a small pain to deal with today and do it. It's time to sit back and be bored. Take a cold shower. Remember that this is how warriors are made, because the only way to stop running and become invincible is to do it. I want you to leave this statement below. I learn how to deal with discomfort. Second, stop letting your feelings control you. How often do your feelings run your day? You lose it when someone says something mean to you. When your plans change, so does your mood. You don't want to do the gym, work, or follow through because you're tired. It's not just you, it's all of us. But the harsh truth is that you are a slave to your feelings if they run your life. The Stoics also thought that being enslaved by your feelings was worse than having chains around your arms. Epictetus, a Stoic teacher who used to be a slave, said, "Anyone who can make you angry becomes your master. They can only make you angry if you let them bother you." Let that sink in. You gave the person who cut you off in traffic their peace. You gave them your identity. You gave them your joy. You see, Stoicism doesn't tell you to ignore your feelings. Instead, it teaches you to notice them, understand them, and respond instead of react. That's the difference between a child and a Stoic. A child throws a fit, while a Stoic sits in the storm and thinks. Thoughts from Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful person in his time. If something outside of you bothers you, it's not the thing itself that hurts you, but how you think about it, and you can change how you feel about it at any time. That's a kind of control we don't talk about much. The power to not be upset by things that don't deserve our attention. And yes, it's harsh, because you can't blame others anymore. You can't say, "He made me mad," or "She ruined my day." So now you know it was all your choice what you did. But here's the good news. You can choose again. You don't have to be a slave to your feelings. You can feel angry without acting angry, scared without running away, sad without giving up. That's emotional strength. That's stoicism. When you feel triggered, stop, breathe, and ask yourself, is this feeling useful right now? Answer with purpose. This is not being robotic, it's being in charge. When you let go of your feelings, you become clear, calm, and strong. When you stay strong, people notice. In today's emotionally unstable world, that kind of stability is rare. It's magnetic. It can't be stopped. Real growth starts when you stop being a puppet and start being the master. Third, stop expecting fairness. Life doesn't owe you anything. Expecting life to be fair is one of the fastest ways to suffer. Let that sink in for a moment. You work hard, and someone else is lazy. You care deeply about someone, and they leave you. You do the right thing, and still get punished. This isn't fair. But here's the Stoic truth. Fairness is a myth we make up, not a law of the world. One wise person said, "You can do wrong by doing nothing." He, as ruler of Rome, saw wrongdoing every day, but he didn't complain, point the finger, or it kept him from giving up when he felt hopeless. Life is not about being fair. It's about being strong. The Stoics never thought that life would be kind to them. They expected pain, loss, betrayal, and change. And because they knew what was coming, they were ready for it. Let's be honest. Fairness is a beautiful idea, but it can make you weak if you hold on to it too tightly. Okay, I don't like how this feels, and I don't want to deal with it, is what we often say. But here's the rule. You don't grow by hoping things will be fair. You grow by accepting them as they are and going forward. Look around you. Bad things happen to good people, and bad people sometimes win. Hard work doesn't always pay off. Bad things happen all the time in life. The difference between the average person and the unstoppable is that the average person waits for fairness. The Stoic build up power within themselves that nothing outside of themselves can break. This doesn't mean you become cold or heartless. It just means you stop waiting for the world to treat you right and start treating yourself right no matter what the world does. It takes guts sometimes just to live. Seneca once said, "This is especially true when life seems unfair. Do this. You don't whine about the pain. You use it as power. You get skills that are so good that no one can escape them. There are no expectations when you love deeply. You deal with deception and move on with pride. Being stoic means taking on a lot of duty. It's never your fault, but it's always your move. You don't, you can't change how life hits you, but you can change how you react. And that answer, that strong, calm, warrior like answer, is what makes you unbeatable. Some things aren't fair, but you can earn your freedom one strong choice at a time. Fourth, pay attention to what you can change. Give up the rest. The Stoics thought that your power comes from a tiny area that you can control. Let go of everything else. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it is. Epictetus said, "This is the mistake that most people fall into. They try to keep other people in line. They try to guess what will happen. They are obsessed with the results. Then they question why they are scared, helpless, and angry. But let's break it down. What really does lie in your hands? What you think, what you choose, what you do, how you react, everything else, opinion, chance, and doubt, you have no power over. You can't change the weather, but you can change what you wear. You can handle how you treat other people, but not whether they like you. You can't change the economy, but you can decide what you learn, how you spend your money, and how you get ready. That change in direction is huge. You're no longer pulled in 100 different ways by things you can't change. Strong and sure of what you're doing, you stand tall. Picture yourself at sea in a storm. The calm person doesn't yell at the wind. He takes the wheel and steers the ship. That's what keeps you calm when other people are scared. When others complain, stay focused. And when others wander, be controlled. It's not about acting like the world doesn't exist. You have to choose what interests you. And 90% of the things people worry about are out of their hands. Let's do something easy. Ask yourself, is this something I can control? Every time you feel worried, do something if the answer is yes. Let go if not. Easy. Yes. Simple. Nope. Strong. Of course. Marcus Aurelius tells us that over your mind, not over what happens in the outside world. If you understand this, you will be strong. People will notice if you live this way. You can't be moved. Not because you have control over everything, but because you always have control over yourself. Fifth, choose to go through hardships in order to strengthen your will. Discipline is a strength in a world that is hooked on comfort. They didn't wait for life to give them problems to solve. They first put themselves to the test, not to hurt, but to make stronger, not to punish, but to get ready. Seneca wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you will be happy with the cheapest and scantiest fare, with rough and coarse. While you dress, ask yourself, is this the condition I feared? That was chosen hardship, a moment of pain that was meant to make the mind stronger so it wouldn't break under stress." Now, think about this. Most people today try to avoid pain at all costs. They never skip a meal. They never sit in silence. They never go without convenience. But what happens when life gets hard? People who are stoic have already trained for the hard days. They've practiced hunger, fatigue, rejection, boredom, and struggle. That doesn't make them unbeatable, but it does make them flexible. You don't build willpower by watching motivational videos. You build it by doing the thing you don't want to do on purpose. This is an example of voluntary hardship. You can train your self-control by saying no to a luxury you can afford, taking a cold shower when your mind screams no, and getting up early to train when your body wants to stay in bed. Over time, these small choices add up, and you become dangerous. This isn't because you're mean to yourself, but because you know that comfort doesn't make you stronger. Challenge does. When trouble comes, as it always does, you don't run away. You smile because you chose to walk through the fire. Marcus Aurelius ruled during plagues, wars, and betrayals, but he wrote clearly and calmly. Why? Because trouble wasn't a surprise to him. He expected it. And when you expect something, it can't stop you. So, instead of asking, how can I make life easier? Ask, how can I get stronger? Sixth, stop caring about results and fall in love with the process. We've been taught to focus on outcomes, like getting the job, closing the deal, reaching the goal, making money, and being admired. But one day, life will throw more at you than you think you can handle, and you'll rise. Stoicism, on the other hand, says to focus on the process rather than the result. This is because the end is never certain, but you can always control your work. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." One way is to ignore things that are out of our control. You set yourself up for pain when you're stuck on success. If you go to the gym for a week and don't see abs, you quit. If you start a project and it fails, you feel worthless. If you love someone and they break up with you, you fall apart. But what if you fell in love with the work itself? The showing up, the writing, the building, the thinking, the learning, the effort? That's the Stoic path. Because when you focus on the process, you always win, even if the result isn't what you expected. And here's the kicker. When you let go of needing the outcome, you start to achieve more because you're not as desperate. You're not emotional or driven by approval. You're based on action. Marcus Aurelius said, "Never let the future bother you. If you have to, you will fight it with the same rational tools you use to fight the present. Don't worry about what might happen. Just do what you need to do with courage right now. If you're a writer, don't write to go popular. Write to get smarter. Train not to win, but to master your body. When you're building something, don't build it for praise, but for pride in the work. When you connect your worth to results, you become weak. When you connect your worth to discipline, intention, and focus, you become unstoppable. Here's a Stoic way to change your mindset. Show up like the result is already done and you're just enjoying the craft, whether you succeed or fail. Bonus, you've changed your mindset. Follow these steps to fully accept death and live a meaningful life. Most people think they will live forever, so they waste time, put off dreams, and stay stuck in bad habits and bad relationships. But the Stoics thought about death not to be scary, but to wake them up. Marcus Aurelius said, "You could leave life right now. What you do, say, and think should be based on that. That's not fear. That's being free, coming to terms with the fact that life is short. We can't decide when it ends. That means that every second we waste is a second we'll never get back. Feel that. There is no tomorrow for you. You can't keep telling yourself, I'll do it later. You can't just assume that tomorrow will come." Something the Stoics did was called memento mori. Don't forget that you'll die. They weren't trying to be sad, to stay on track. They said it, present, and on purpose, because you stop wasting time once you really understand that it is limited. You don't scroll for hours. You stop fighting over things that don't matter and putting up with mediocrity. Instead, you start making things, liking people, and moving. Not later, but now. Someone once said, "We don't have a short time to live, but we waste a lot of it." You can't change how long you live, but you can change how deeply you live. This is the most dangerous lie. There's lots of time. Not really. There isn't. That chance you don't want to take, that task you put off, the person you vow to forgive, and the change you say you'll make next year. Now is your chance. It's your turn now. People who are strong don't ignore death. He looks it straight in the eye and says, "You will never catch me sleeping on my life." Being aware of this doesn't make you nervous. It brings you life. Because someone who really thinks about death tells the truth, loves freely, works quickly, gives up their ego, and stops being afraid of failing. Because the worst kind of failure is a life lost. Live like you don't have much time left, because you do. And when you do, you start to shine, become focused and strong. For cheap approval, you don't go after it. You move for a reason. It's felt by many. You can feel it. Eighth, fight for virtue instead of praise. To be honest, most people live to get likes, praise, respect, and cheers. The conservative, on the other hand, doesn't follow the crowd. They follow virtue. Do the right thing, and the rest doesn't matter, Marcus Aurelius said. This means that you should live with honor, even if no one sees it. Tell the truth, even if no one applauds. Don't break your promise, even if it costs you. Work out hard, even if no one is looking. That's being good. That's how you make a soul that can't be bought. It's also not about being perfect. It's about having morals. This is where it gets hard. It's not always easy to do what's right. It's less work to lie. It's simpler to show off than to be real. In order to get approval, it's easier to move forward on your own. But you get better every time you pick what's right over what's easy. Edge. You change into someone your future self will look up to. You make a name for yourself that no one can take away. To bring this up again, Seneca says, I will live and think as if everyone could see and read both. That's strength. That kind of life doesn't fall apart when things get tough because it's based on honesty. Socrates are real in a world full of images. Stony-faced people stay calm in a noisy world. The Stoic is real in a world where everything is fake. You want to be unable to be stopped. Don't live for praise. Do what you believe in. Live your life so that you'd still be able to stand tall if you lost your fame, money, or following. Because when you don't need other people, you become the kind of person they want to follow. Stand up for what's right instead of what everyone else wants. Walk like it's the only way to go, even if you're by yourself. Important. You've made it this far, which means you're ready to change, to let go of the things that are distracting you, your weaknesses, and your mental chaos, and move on to something better. That is not perfection, but power. Not power over other people, but control over yourself. That's the way of the calm. It doesn't make you feel better. It makes things clear. It tells you what to do. As the world falls apart around you, it gives you a reason to live. Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca. They didn't write about a simple world. They wrote so that they could live through storms, wars, betrayals, and death with honor. They taught us that money and hard work don't make you strong. It lies in a man who keeps his word. The woman who doesn't run away when she's scared. The person who always does the right thing, even when it's hard. You don't have to wait for inspiration. It doesn't have to be the right time. You need to start right away. Get your mind in shape. Prepare to fight. Get away from the results. Stick to your beliefs. Act like you don't have much time left. Since it is. And the best part is that you don't need praise. You don't need praise. You don't need anyone to understand you. You become unbreakable from the inside out when you follow the Stoic road. And strength like that doesn't come along very often. It's true. It's yours. I want you to leave this statement below. Every day, I become more and more stable. Now, don't keep this word to yourself. If it made you feel something, if it lit a spark of truth inside you, if you like the movie, tell us which law you like best. Tell someone on their trip about this, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This is a group of real people who want to live a meaningful life and are not just interested in making noise. Also, don't skip any parts of your life. It is all practice. All of it is changing. Keep coming out. Pick strength again and again. Also, don't stop until you can't be stopped. Music.